Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And my name is Smitty. I'm running for Attorney General. I don't know if any of you, some of you have been to other forums, but just as a matter of introduction, I'm a native Washingtonian. I was born and raised here in the District of Columbia. I grew up in Anacostia. I'm very familiar with the Berry Farm issue because it's an issue that is impacting my home community. I also live now in Bloomingdale, so I'm very familiar with the McMillan issue as well, and have my grandmother actually lived just a few blocks away from there, so I've been in that neighborhood for a long time as well, and have significant concerns about both. But to talk to you a little bit about, and Lori touched on some of these issues very, very well, I think that what we are confronting here is a situation where you, for the first time, have a chance to elect your own Attorney General, as opposed to having someone who's simply appointed by the mayor. And you demanded that right. You demanded that right in 2010 by referendum. And while at different points in our history, the city council or the mayor's office has worked very hard to ignore your efforts with respect to the referendum process, fortunately, in this case, your voice is being heard. But we are very close to being in a position where, frankly, in my opinion, and Lori said it well, your voice is going to be drowned out by dollars. Because both of us are running against an opponent who has injected $500,000 of his own money into the race, and who is backed by the most powerful interest in the city, particularly a lot of the big developers who are working on these projects. And at the end of the day, when you ask yourself who will that candidate be listening to, I'm going to guess it's the people that pays his bills. But you have a chance between now and Election Day to vote for a candidate who will fight for your interests and who comes from your community. Now, I believe I am that candidate, but I think Lori is an excellent candidate as well. I'll be honest. I think she's great. And she and I are both working towards some of the same things, and have worked towards some of the same things for a long time. In her work at DC Appleseed and DC Vote, and my work at DC Vote and the We the People Project. And so I think that you should be very careful and examine all of us and our records and look at where we come from. I've been working for the last 6 years in the Obama administration, working for everyday Americans. I'm a dedicated public servant. That's my focus. My focus is not making lots of money. I had that chance, I made that money, I left that so that I could serve. I am dedicated to serving your interests and your needs. When we talk about development issues in the District of Columbia, we talk about issues that impact you, me, our families directly. And that means that you need to have active input into that process, into the AG's office. And I will have an AG's office that will be actively soliciting that input. And also working to provide you with the resources that you need in order to make sure that you've got the information necessary and access to the advocacy necessary. Because right now, the deck is stacked against us, stacked against everyday Washingtonians. The zoning administrator makes a decision, and you have 30 days to appeal. 30 days for a big developer is easy. You've got an attorney on retainer, and they can move very quickly for that. But for you, that's hard. For you, 30 days means you've got to find an attorney in 30 days. That attorney needs to be versed in the issues. That attorney needs to be able to understand what you're dealing with. You have to somehow pay that attorney. That's a hard challenge for you. So as AG, I'll be working to make sure that we're giving you access to the information that you need and making sure that we're helping you get access to the attorneys that you need. Now, I can't say right now that the AG's office is going to be the personal counsel for every single Washingtonian, but what I can do is tell you that we're going to help provide you with resources, and that we're going to have an office that's dedicated to answering your questions and to connecting you to the people that will. And so, that I can do. With respect to the zoning rewrite, which I know is the principal issue that we're here to talk to you about. I'm very familiar with the Administrative Procedures Act. It's something that I've had to deal with a lot in my time as a government attorney at the FCC. And I've had challenges to our processes, and I had, in fact, the project I just came off of is dealing with just this right now, where, and this is your absolute right as citizens, to challenge whether or not our process looked at all the relevant facts, and then whether our choices are rationally tied to the evidence that was presented. That's the basic premise, that is the basic underlying question with respect to whether or not our APA duties have been fulfilled with respect to avoiding arbitrary and capricious decision making. And Chris provided some excellent information. I did some research on my own into this. I'll tell you, I am very concerned about the lack of research and study and transparency with respect to this decision-making that's expanding downtown. And I think that the AG's office needs to look into it very closely, because this has been a multi-year process, this zoning rewrite, and apparently only in the sort of the 11th hour now are we seeing these expansions and these new proposals. Well, you deserve to have that vetted. You deserve to have questions answered. You deserve to see the evidence and to say, okay, tell us, what type of environmental impact will it have? What type of transportation impact will it have? What type of quality of life impact will it have? These are the questions that you're asking that need to be answered before anything happens, before any rules are adopted. We had to do it at the FCC. DC needs to do it here.
Yes.
So, I promise you that in my first 60 days as Attorney General, we're going to turn around and look at that. And we're going to say, hey, are you following the APA? And we're going to ask them the tough questions. And we're going to say, show us the evidence. Because if they're not, then I'm not going to be in a good position to represent them in court. Because that's what the AG has to do. The AG is in the position where they represent DC government in court. Well, the DC government agencies need to be following the law in order for us to represent them adequately.